Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Harlequin here, along with my little black cat, Gustav, apparently, who will be providing some color commentary today. This is, of course, another episode of HarlequinCasts, Dawn of War 2 Retribution, and today's game takes place on the map Outer Reaches between two very highly skilled players. This is going to be a top-level 1-versus-1 style game. Let me go ahead and start kind of cruising around the map here. By the way, just as a reminder, Friday, April 29th, which is in just a few days from when I'm going to be releasing this video, I will be giving away Dark Angel DLC codes to 3 random Twitter followers. You just got to follow HarlequinCasts at twitter.com. Just got to be following me, that's all. I'll just pick 3 at random there. If you haven't had a chance to check out the Dark Angel DLC thing, I do have a review of that package. It's its own new army skin that's available out there. So if you're interested, follow me on Twitter. Anyhow, let's go ahead and take a look around the map right now. On the left-hand side of the map, playing as the Warlock, we have Mr. Zeno, who is actually Spirit, actually. He is Spirit. We have seen him play plenty of times before. Super highly ranked player in both team games and 1-versus-1 games. And playing as the Warlock. Warlock is pretty fun. I don't know why he's playing as Zeno, but a lot of these top players kind of change their names around just so, I don't know, they get an initiative on other players. His opponent today, playing as the Commisar Lord here for the Imperial Guard, we have Mr. RUW Little Belchonok. Belchonok! There we go. I'm going to call him Belchonok today. RUW is, of course, a fantastic guild that's out there. RUW Rosin pops into my head right away. I have no idea what it stands for. Asked a couple of people. They don't know. Checked out their official forums on GameReplays.org. Didn't say anything, so I don't know. They're just going to be RUW today. Perhaps it stands for Russian something. Who knows exactly here. But we've got Commisar Lord versus Warlock today. Let's go ahead and get this game started. Taking a look around, you can see that it looks like Spirit already going into double Guardians right off the bat, and it looks like Belchonok is going to be going here for Guardsmen. So this is kind of interesting. Both armies have the potential to have lots of lots of high model count, low hit point squads out there. We will see a third Guardian squad coming out right now for Spirit, and it looks like Belchonok is just going to be going for the Sentinel third as well there. So taking a look around, we can see that already for Belchonok, 1 Guardian squad, and I do like the fact that he is the red player on the minimap, and he also has vaguely red colored units. That always helps me out, keeps my sanity going here. You can see he's going for this middle power right now, and also his Commisar Lord going for this middle requisition point. These are always the things that are on the north-south line of symmetry on this map are always kind of contested. So grabbing them early can sometimes be useful, sometimes not. Otherwise, most players like to do what we see Belchonok doing right now, which is kind of arching one squad all the way up and around the top side of the map here. Looks like this Sentinel is going to be going right in. You can see smashing through some terrain, putting some good fire on these guys, getting a nice little stomp off there. Ground pound rather, but it looks like the Guardians just simply got knocked back into some explosive, I believe some of these things blow up when you crash into them, but it's just scenery, it's not actually damage here. But check it out, I really do like seeing what Spirit's doing here. Having triple Guardians out there, that's a lot of focus firepower, and as a result, this Sentinel really cannot stand up to it. Again, Sentinels are very light vehicles, they take damage just like any other unit for the most part, and as a result, just a little bit of focus fire from these Guardians is going to be enough to really send that running, and that was a bit of a mistake. It looks like he attacked the center a little bit too eagerly, and oh no, a real blunder there early game, losing that Sentinel. Right now we can see strong central control here by Spirit, but unfortunately he only has his Warlock way up here in the north to cap any of this other stuff. So having a Guardian squad and a Commisar all the way up here to deal with is going to slow down his captures up top, and it looks like he's going to be moving around in a big blob today. That's kind of part of his strategy. Blobbing is always tricky because you can be kind of ninja capped all over the place, but for the most part it looks like he's moving all of his troops together. This poor Guardian squad, however, is also just really overextended, taking a lot of casualties. We can see some pretty good forced melee coming out of there as well. It looks like they were just upgraded with the Sergeant as that happened, which gave them an extra model there, buffing their squad hit points a little bit, but they took quite a few losses and are just going to have to get out of there. A second Sentinel on the field right now from Belchonok. I'm not sure if he intended on getting 2 Sentinels or if he is merely replacing the one that he kind of carelessly lost at the beginning there. But that's kind of a rough start, and already Spirit's in a great position here. Having a Shuriken Cannon and 3 Guardian squads is really brutal because it's just a very, very range damage-oriented army, especially from the point of view of an Imperial Guard player who often can, has a lot of very weak units. So simply having a ton of damage can give you a nice edge there. So we'll have to see exactly what Belchonok is going to have to do. It's interesting to note, by the way, that there are no Howling Banshees in here whatsoever, and no Rangers or anything like that yet. Instead, just mass Guardians. Over here on the right-hand side, we can see continued, look at this fleet of foot Warlock just kind of running around, kind of back-capping stuff here. These Guardians really taking a lot of damage, just going to kind of overstayed their welcome. Going to have to get out of here. Very, very juicy requisition point to grab here. You can see that this has already finished maturing to 30. It's a 30 requisition point now. It's 15 when you first grab it in a 1 versus 1 game. So decapping that. Oh, and he gets knocked back by a special attack by the Commisar Lord. Decapping that in the middle of the beginning of the game here can be really good. And he is just barely going to decap it and then probably just retreat right away. Again, it doesn't really hurt. The Commisar can just recap it right away, but it does kind of affect the fact that it has to remature and whatnot. We can see here the Sentinel doing the exact same thing. Well, not the exact same thing, but decapping a requisition point here that has only matured to 25. However, we can see that this far back requisition point is looking pretty good there. So taking a look around now, we do see Catachan Devils coming out for Belchonok. That'll certainly help him out a little bit. Sentinel just kind of, being annoying. I do like the way the Sentinels cannot cap points, as I'm sure many of you are aware, but they can decap points, and as a result, they can just kind of go around and be annoying. He was just kind of buying some time here for these Guardians to just kind of move around, cap what they needed to. Definitely going to be chased off by all of these Guardian squads and by this Shuriken team, using the Shuriken team to capture this requisition point while the rest of his forces move forward. Spirit's looking pretty reasonably good, although he needs to grab this top victory point here, but honestly, it's anybody's game. We're seeing just kind of a lot of ebb and flow tactics at the moment right now. So 455 right now for Belchonok, and 484 right now for Spirit here. Spirit again is just kind of keep marching towards the northern side here. It looks like these guardsmen and the Sentinel's going to have to retreat out of there. And there we go. There's the old reliable shot coming out of the Catachan Devils, doing some damage here to the Guardian squad. They're going to have to just kind of, keep doing their thing. Nobody really owns too much of these. These have been changing hands constantly. As you can see, it's only at 10. I guess I was wrong. I said 15 earlier. Apparently it's 10, 20, 30. And it goes up by 5s or whatever. Who knows? Anyhow, you can see here a little bit of damage going on this power node here. This is actually a pretty solid looking Gen Bash attempt here. At least one of these squads does have plasma grenades. That's looking pretty good there. And the Warlock as well. There we go, though. The Catachan Devils, you can see way up here on the hills, putting that old reliable right into the middle of that blob right there. And unfortunately now, oh god, that was going to be a really great attack there, but unfortunately those Catachan Devils really just screwed that all up by knocking them back, doing a lot of damage. They were kind of all blobbed up in the same spot. Punished them quite a bit there. So it looks like it looks like Belchonok is just going to be in control of the situation here for the time being. Let me take a look and see where that Warlock ended up. He's, again, just kind of moving around in the back, capping random points and stuff. So here's that ebb and flow effect again. Whoever wins that, it seems like one guy reinforces, attacks out, gains control over the middle for a little bit, and then the other guy reinforces, attacks out. And so that's kind of back and forth. It's not really permanent control, but we'll take a look here. Catachan Devils doing a good job capping that, and the Guardsmen down in the south doing a good job capping that. However, we can see that just having some of those advantages early on, or at least the fact that he didn't have to replace any unnecessary units, Spirit has been able to get all the way up to tier 2 a little bit faster here. We can see that Belchonok is kind of behind. He only has 90 energy right now, so he's still a little ways away from the 125 he needs to get to tier 2. And we do have the Sentinel backed up by the Guardians right now. A little bit of a Destructor. Guardsman. Damn it. I thought I was going to get through this without doing that. Anyhow, a little bit of the Destructor coming out of the Warlock there, doing some damage. Got a single model loss there. And there we have the Catachan Devils on the high ground once again, using their old reliable and then backing off. Not a bad idea, because if they back off, they'll have the mana to be able to use the high explosive shot, or if they wait even longer, they can use old reliable again. Looks like the Commisar Lord kind of preemptively charged in there. That was not so good. He ended up just burning all of his mana away with his little force shield there, and then taking tons of damage. But it looks like this Shuriken Cannon weapons team is good enough on its own. It's not going to have any problems. The heavy Shuriken team like that can really wreck up on a Sentinel. Either the Sentinel has to charge in there and stomp right off the bat. Oh, a bit of a miss there with the old reliable from way up top. Yeah, the Sentinel either needs to charge in there and stomp or not, but kind of hanging out here right at mid-range. That's terrible, and as you can see, Belchonok here is having no luck whatsoever with his Sentinel. So really kind of an awkward start today. However, it looks like he's not going to bother replacing anything. He's just going to go straight to tier 2 and hope for the best here. However, we can see some Warp Spiders already out on the field right now for Spirit. Looks like he has a pretty dominating position in this early game right now, having inflicted multiple Sentinels worth of loss for Belchonok there. Again, now following up that little bit of a midfield victory right now with a Gen Bash, that's a great idea. Splitting up his troops a little bit to just make sure you can recapture some of these vital things, like his Warlock is going to grab this northern victory point. But for the most part, we're just going to see Warp Spiders that are fully upgraded right now. Warp Spiders do have an X-Arc here with the aspect of the Warp Spider. But now we have some opposition coming in. The Warp Spiders, it looks like they just blinked way back. But that was enough time for Spirit to be able to take care of all of the stuff on this generator farm here. The Warp Spiders are just going to do a fantastic job on these guardsmen, assuming that they don't take too much focus fire here. Again, this Commisar Lord is trying his best to get in there and kind of force melee just to kind of distract. But unfortunately, every time I've seen him attack so far, he's attacked just a little bit early. And as a result, he ended up having to retreat before he had much of an effect on the battlefield, and everybody else had to back away again. So pretty solid control right now for Spirit.